Grindset, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs with your host, Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack.
And on behalf of our amazing boss lady, Leslie Lynn Smith, who inspires us every day, and the Epicenter team, we welcome you to Epicenter and Grindset Live. So I'm tasked with a couple things. One, to tell y'all what we do and what we love. Now, we love what we do, and we are here for you as entrepreneurs, whether you have an idea, whether you want to launch your business or grow your business, or if you're a serial entrepreneur who want to exit a business and start something new, we're here for you as well. And we love telling entrepreneur stories, which is why we are extremely excited to have co-creator with KUDZUKIAN, Grindset Podcast. And you are in the house today live, and it's hosted by Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack. So y'all know them as Cynthia and Brack. Without further ado, again, welcome y'all to Epicenter. We are here for you, and the Epicenter team is here if y'all have questions later about anything. And we want to welcome our host to get us started. It's going to be great. Let's give it up for our host.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? All right. How many entrepreneurs are in the house? All right. We're in the right place then, right?
Any bankers in the house?
All right. We got one. Somebody has to count the money, right? All right, so we are excited to bring up our very first guest, Miss Nubian Simmons, the owner of the Pink Bakery. Come on up. You look stunning.
And the title of this segment is Niches Get Riches.
I love that, by the way.
All right, so we're going to just start with you telling us, why is it important to develop your own niche as an entrepreneur?
So I sat and thought about this because I feel like if you don't do this as an entrepreneur, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to waste time and money. You don't have a lot of time or money when you are starting your business, so it's essential that you do that. And I'll tell you how I got to my niche.
And I love it because you got right to my next question. Yes, okay. I love it.
Okay, so I have food allergies. I'm allergic to milk and wheat. And so my whole journey growing up, I wasn't able to eat the same things that my siblings were able to eat.
Okay.
I think I told you guys this story before about they would have creme brulee and brownie a la mode, and I have orange slices, right?
Unfair.
And so anyway, I sought out to create my own baking mixes for myself. This was something I wanted for me so that I'd be able to have something to eat. And so as I was going through this journey, I found this book called Aim, Fire, Grow. She asked the question, and it took me a year to answer this question. The question was, what are you selling, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm selling cupcakes, or I'm selling brownies. And it was like, go deeper. And so finally, a year into this process, I figured out what I was selling was actually inclusion, right? Because people that have food allergies were excluded all the time.
Right.
And so after I figured out what I was selling, then I could get into my niche, right? Because now I know I'm selling something to people that have allergies like me. But when you get into food allergies, you could be allergic to anything, right? So it's like, well, how do I niche this down so that I'm not trying to target everybody that has food allergies, right? And so, again, along this journey, I became a member of a food allergy organization. And they focus solely on the big 8 allergens. And 2 of mine were a part of the big 8. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll focus on this group because I'm not allergic to eggs or nuts or, soy or anything like that. But I knew what it felt like to be excluded. So I said, let me target this group of people. And so by doing that, again, we niched that first time down to the big 8.
Right.
Now we have like 11 niches. So we have those 8. We also use organic, only organic, non-GMO, and everything's vegan. So even those subgroups were not what I was targeting, naturally those groups have also come to us. So I've had pregnant mothers who don't have food allergies, but they don't want to give their babies, in utero, something other than organic. So again, it's when you target something, you'd be amazed at what else comes to you because you have niche down. So
your customers tend to self-identify, right?
Absolutely. And let me say this too. Again, I talked about time and money. So when it comes to advertising, I know exactly where I'm going to advertise because I know where my market is, right? So I'm targeting exactly people that have food allergies. I'm looking at specific magazines or, allergists, you know what I'm saying? So it's important to do that. And you know how to focus.
Now, from a pricing perspective, does a niche business allow you to charge more?
Absolutely, because we're seen as the expert. Another thing is this, like for me, I'm giving you what I eat, right? So I'm going to only give myself the best, right? So I'm calling manufacturers to find out, even like your soil, right? Like how do you grow this sugar?
Really?
Making sure that you're not rotating that crop with wheat or soy, right? Okay. So you're paying for that expertise. You're paying for the fact that I've done that extra. Yeah, I'm going that extra mile again because I got to eat it. So I want to make sure it's safe for me, but you're also getting that as well. So you're paying for the expertise and all my research and all, everything that I went through to bring this to market to you.
Well, it wouldn't be a Grindset show without talking about what your products are.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's true. So I own the Pink Bakery. We make desserts for people who have food allergies to the big 8 foods. So we make cakes, cupcakes, donuts, brownies, cookies, everything I couldn't have. That looked really good. So that's where we are right now. And I am longing for bread. So bread has been a very big challenge for me, but that's something that I will eventually incorporate into our product line. We also sell baking mixes too. So if you're not here in Memphis, we sell the mixes so that we can ship those all over the country.
And do you plan on expanding into a different city? Or what does that look like? What are the next steps look for the Pink Bakery?
Yeah, so we have been searching for a long time for a retail location here in Memphis, and that should be coming. Some more information should be coming soon about that. But we do want to expand to Chicago and also Nashville. So those are like our target markets.
Awesome. And I'm assuming you did research for those 2 cities.
So we don't move again unless we do research, because again, time and money, right? And so I don't know if anybody else would agree with this, but again, time is limited and so are funds. So if I'm going to move somewhere or take the step towards something, it is because we have put in some research and we got some great feedback.
Now, you keep talking about time and money, right? So can you tell us financially what you started your business with and how much time you put in that first year to give people an idea of the entrepreneurship, the Grindset life?
Yeah, so prior to becoming a baker, I was a graphic designer, and I took my graphic design money and saved it up, and that is what I used to buy all my ingredients, because everything's organic, so all that was very expensive to be testing with all organic ingredients. But I started with $11,000. That was what I started with. And I went really fast. Again, organic sugar.
And how was your credit when you started?
When I started,
I'm joking.
No, it was close to 800. Please don't ask me what it is today.
A little different now.
Woo!
It's part of the journey.
It's a little pressure. And so you talk about time, probably 23 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Because it got to a point for me where I wasn't going to let this cupcake not rising the way I knew it was supposed to defeat me, right? So over 10,000 cupcakes later, you're a master at that. You know what I'm saying? So I can look at someone's cupcake and say, oh, they have a leavening problem. You know what I'm saying? Because of all that time I spent with the oven. You know what I mean? And then when you're sleeping, sometimes you're really not asleep because your mind is working on solving the problem as well. Right. So that first year,
entrepreneurs nodding their head.
Yeah, that first year, again, you can really chalk up sleeping because it's really about you mastering this issue or the problem, trying to solve it.
And I would love to know, because you were not a baker, you were a graphic designer, what made you not give up?
because again, it was for me. Those when I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you're at a table with a group of people and everyone else's plate looks quote unquote normal.
Right.
And you have something that looks totally different. You feel it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel like that anymore. I wanted to feel like I was a part of the group and I was a part of the experience. Orange slices don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate them because it was
You
something
need
I
to
could
make that a
have.
quote.
That's definitely a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we say in my house is, I'm tired of the fruit. Like, that's what I kept saying. Like, I'm tired of the fruit. But I'm thankful for it because we use a lot of fruit now in what we do. You know what I mean? But
okay.
it'll be like, a cherry cupcake though, or orange cupcake. So it's not just the orange slice.
So we're about to end it. It was rapid fire. So 2 questions.
Sure.
One, did you start off paying yourself, and do you pay yourself now? And then where can people find more information about the Pink Bakery?
No, to the first question, did not pay myself. And sometimes, if I have a really good month, I'll pay myself. But for me, eventually I want to sell the Pink Bakery, so I've been setting it up this whole time to sell it. From owning my own trademarks to developing my recipes myself, so that if I do sell them, it's a clean sale. So I'm setting it up, like I said, to sell it. So, it's like I don't mind waiting to get paid. You know what I'm saying? So, and you can buy our stuff at www.thepinkbakery.com. And you can look at our Instagram handle. It's the Pink Bakery DM on Instagram, and I just said that. And then Facebook is facebook.com, the Pink Bakery Inc.
So your branding is consistent across the board.
Yes, that's huge.
We'll find out from
Yes,
Dena
from
soon.
Dena.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, can I just say 2 books that I really think anybody should really read? They
Please
really
do.
helped me a lot.
Yes.
This first one is called Focus. It's by Al Rees. It's an amazing book. If anybody knows him, he writes all types of books on branding, and this focus is just so important. And then the other one is 113 Million Markets of One. Both of these books are really good when you're trying to niche or figure out how to focus for your company.
And please take notes when you're reading.
Yes.
Thank you again for being a
Nubian,
guest.
thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Dena Granger, the owner of the Chiro Place. And she walked up, it looks like her spine is aligned. I would assume.
So I was watching this seat, and I'm like, I'm a chiropractor, so I got to make sure I sit proper.
That's right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You've been very successful in opening up multiple locations, right? Can you talk about your journey from 1 to, are we at 4 now? Or 3?
3.
Just from 1 to 3. We're going to
Yes.
jump right in it.
All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you. As it relates to just jumping right in, I give God the glory for everything, first and foremost. And I pretty much walk like that. So I pray, he answers, I move. So when it came to me going from one location to the second, it was really just via mentorship and the encouragement that you can do this. So when I stepped out there, I was still a little afraid because I had so much trouble in the beginning as far as starting a clinic.
Okay.
But I got yes. And so when I got yes once, I'm like, okay, God, I see you. Let's just go for another. And
Right.
so that's what I did. And I used negotiation. I used the talents that we all are blessed and born with when it comes to, I say, hustle, all of that.
Right.
So I used that and I took it to a company and I was like, I just opened this clinic here. And by the way, like, God moves in mysterious ways, because when I opened my second clinic, he put me in the newspaper. I didn't ask for it, just happened. And from that, someone reached out to me and said, would you like to open another clinic? And I was like,
Wow.
Okay. So when they did that, that gave me the thought of, let me see how this really works. So I started reaching out to companies and was just telling them that someone down the road really offered me an opportunity that I can't resist. Would you like for me to be your client? And as I did that, someone gave me an opportunity where they did the complete build out. I didn't have to have a lot of money. Amazing. I just really tested myself. I wasn't ready to do a third, but I was testing myself and what God gave me to push to do the third.
Major key alert.
Yeah. Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you have to be fearless and you have to have faith. And it looks like you have both.
Yes.
So one thing I would love to know, can you tell us, let's say maybe 3 strategies as to why an entrepreneur should engage with their community? I feel like when I first discovered you, I think at every event in the city of Memphis, I saw the Chiro Place. It could be a beauty pageant. The Chiro Place has a booth at the beauty pageant. So tell us a little bit about that.
It started from just my mission and my purpose and being told no. A lot of people said in chiropractic, because I was coming into a profession that wasn't, you didn't typically see an African-American female doing it. So everyone told me, don't do this and don't do that. And I'm like, whatever, I can do this. So I said, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to give it my very all and best. And we're just going to see how God will work this thing out. So with me being in the community, a lot of people said, you know, in your community, they won't support you. They don't do chiropractic. They don't do this. So I said, I'm going to my community.
I love it.
And I'm going to see, and I'm going to educate, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to choose health. And I stood behind that. I make that the mission and the purpose within my team. And that's what we do daily. And from that, I always tell them it doesn't matter where we are, as long as people are there, it's an opportunity to educate someone about chiropractic. And from that, it has allowed us to expose ourselves to people that never would think about chiropractic.
So one thing we love to hear at the KUDZUKIAN network and on Grindset, we want people to understand the method to your madness. So you said educate a lot, and you said you needed to get in front of your community. So how did you change that perception in those conversations?
So I took it back to me sitting on the porch with my aunts and uncles and all of that good stuff.
Way back.
Way back.
Okay.
And I ultimately approached it in a way of what would they be receptive to? What would they hear? So that's how I teach my team to approach anyone. Okay. Meet them where they are and educate them on that level. If you're talking about spinal misalignments and you see that they're lost, go back and say, I'm going to pop your neck and your back and make you feel better.
I love that. Keep it real.
You know, it's an understanding. And then as you help people understand, then you can give them the proper terminology and all that great stuff. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So if we keep it real, then you can continue to grow with that.
And that community work is marketing, right?
Yes.
What other forms of marketing do you do, and which form gives you the best return on investment?
Community only, really. I get approached so much, even considered, because I'm from a small town, so, you know, the little things were important to me. I wanted to be on TV, I wanted to be on a billboard, but those things don't necessarily make me money as it relates to people coming to see a chiropractor. I realized that people had to understand what chiropractors do. So I knew that me being in front of people was the best route for me. And that's why I stay on that route. I may go to a commercial here and there, but yeah.
I love that. So I'd love to also let our audience know some of the best advice you've ever gotten. I know you talk highly of your mentor, but just in general, as an entrepreneur, share with them what keeps you going and just any general advice that they need to know.
The best advice would be the circle that you are in. Surrounding yourself around those that are beyond your level of thought in any way that you can imagine, because they're going to push you. I would have never thought about I did think about opening multiple locations, but I didn't know how. And I didn't know that it was really possible. But I'm in a circle of people that are doing the same thing. So even when it does get tough, when it does get hard, when I don't want to get out of bed in the morning, because, you know, that's real, then I can text my friends or I can text my colleagues that are doing the same thing, and they're giving me advice on how to get past that. So that is the one thing that have helped me the most, is surrounding myself around like-minded people.
That's great.
Thank you.
And so when it does get tough, it's hard. You have 3 locations now, and it's different to manage financially one location than 3.
Yes.
Can you tell us how you're managing 3 locations financially and making sure each one is performing?
God. So when it comes to the financial aspect, I often start a lot of conversations with the fact that I'm not from money. So with me not being from money, I didn't really know how to manage money. So I am very frugal when it comes to money, and I don't spend it. And like the last question you asked, did you start paying yourself, and do you pay yourself? I did not start paying myself. I do pay myself, but I pay myself very minimum. And I make sure that I'm always putting back, because I never want to be that business that goes out of business. So I want to make sure that I'm always prepared for the what ifs, because I believe in my brain, and I know that ultimately you can have a bad month, but the next month is going to be better, or 2 months down the line. You just have to be prepared for it.
I love that. And so as we close out, Dr. Granger, can you share with our audience where they can find you, your locations, because you're very convenient.
Yes, on purpose. So we are the Chiro Place. You can find us in Midtown across from East High School. You can also find us in Collierville, and you can find us in Bartlett as well. And you can go to our website, see all the great pictures of the awesome doctors that I have on my team, www.thechiroplace.net, and we are here to serve you, not the other way around.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And finally, Dr. K. Streeter.
Hello.
How are you, Doc?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Great. Psychologist and a boxing matchmaker.
She's a streeter fighter. Okay.
Of the famous Streeter, and Streeter.
Yeah, there you go. She's going to bring it to us straight from the streeter.
Let's talk about this segment, Gumball.
Now is not the time to hate or criticize. Now is the time to disinfect and deodorize. Light the incense. It's going to be funky.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN. Grindset on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back from break. Next up, we have Dena James Mwangi of Cheers Creative. And the topic that we'll be talking about is acting all brand new.
Brand new.
When I listen to the podcast we did a few months ago, I get a lot of energy from it. One, because you've done a great job of developing business, finding customers, and you've gone up the ladder of charging, doing great service for less than what you're worth per se, and now you're to a point that you're charging somewhere around there.
Right.
How did you develop that confidence over time to charge to the quality of work you were doing?
So some fear that you have comes from just not having some knowledge. Okay. So there is some fear that you have that can be eliminated with knowledge. Like if you knew that you could actually charge 5 figures for what you're doing, and you knew how to do that, and you knew how to talk about yourself as if you're the go-to person in your industry. So, that eliminates some fear. Some of it is, some stuff you grew up with, okay, that you have to get rid of. Anything that's got you thinking you should be in the back instead of the front. Anything that has you thinking, I'm a woman, or I'm a minority, I'm so-and-so, or I should be concerned with what people's budgets are, and all this other stuff. And it really just, it gets to a point, literally, when I realized, and I'm gonna tell you something, this will bite you in the butt. When you are the cheapest person and then you decide to start charging what you're worth, or what your services are worth, because you are, we can't even count your value. What your services are worth. When you decide to do that, it's something that you just have to keep doing. It just comes with practice. Okay. But then to do that, especially if you're in a service-based industry, then you want to do what's called value-based pricing. Okay. So like in my field, we do web, we do branding, we do things like that. Well, at this point, you have artificial intelligence that'll build a website for you.
Right.
From scratch. But guess what? That artificial intelligence was built to think like a designer, not a strategist. So then I realized, okay, that's what I have to do. I have to keep educating. So, and when you do that, you incorporate that, and then now you're not just doing websites. Now I'm making something that's becoming your hardest working employee. Now I'm making something that's a virtual assistant that's going to take some work off your plate. You know what I mean? So now it's not just a placeholder to say, here I am online. So when you learn how to talk like that, you learn how to present like that, you learn how to sell, then you will gain that confidence over time.
Thank you.
I absolutely love that. And so I want to talk about just branding, right? We talked about acting brand new. I'm guilty of this. When I started out as an entrepreneur, I didn't have a lot of money. And I said, I can design everything myself.
Oh, God.
I'm an event planner, but I said, I can go to Photoshop.
Yeah.
I can put a little CD together, put a little color on it. But I want you to talk to people and helping them understand what a brand can do for them, even with limited resources, and why they should go to someone like yourself.
So the thing is, you already have a brand, right? So what we do is put a visual face to that brand. So who's your audience? How are you making people feel? And all those other things that we come along and we say, okay, based on strategy, based on what people are doing in your market, and we need to go this way and we need to make you the face of it. Look like this. So like, even that's my partner right there. It's my creative partner. And what we started saying is, you know, a lot of times designers and brand companies, they'll say, oh, it's time for it. We're going to make you over. You already are who you are. We reveal what it is that you're supposed to look like. And so I will say this, the art of branding, the art of storytelling is something that you're going to engage in, and it never, ever stops. So.
Okay, and you shouted out your partner, and at Grindset, I think it's important to educate the audience. So if you could just touch on the story of how you became a company of two instead of a company of one, because some people don't understand when you partner with somebody that can bring value to your company, you can get much bigger contracts. Can you talk about that, please?
So
you touched on this at the podcast. It's a good story.
And so I want to tell more now. When I first started my company, first of all, I was working in corporate America. I had a son at the time. I did not like how things were going. He was in daycare and before and after school care, a total of 12 hours. I was like, I know that's the norm, but I did not like that. Okay. And I told my son, by the time you're in first grade, I'm going to make sure that you never have to go to daycare again.
Wow.
Okay. So I started saving. I started listening to podcasts, getting rid of getting rid of subscriptions, getting all time, trying to do some freelance and things. And I meet the love of my life, and I tell him, I don't want no wedding. I want to start this business.
Major key.
Priorities.
And
major key.
I was willing to marry that man without a ring. I was like, we have something to build together. I don't care about all that. Okay, we got married and everything, y'all. First month, I'm making bank. You understand? Making bank. I was like, doing it. Got pregnant with twins. Lost 50 pounds during that pregnancy. Lost everything.
Wow.
Lost my mind. Lost my sanity. My health. Marriage. Everything suffered. Everything suffered. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to build this thing anyway from the hospital bed.
Wow.
And so I started doing that. And lunch cheers, and my health got better and things got better, but I was working, but I was in survival mode.
Okay.
Here comes my partner who was not in survival mode. And so we were already friends.
Okay.
And he had a certain style that I did not have. And I was like, I would always say, oh, we would make the great, perfect designer. At that time, we're still design heavy. Okay. And he says, you're doing great. What you're doing is great. You need help. I didn't even know I need help because I was doing work to buy Pampers.
You were surviving.
I was surviving.
Yeah.
I was surviving. And so SO came along and helped me to think outside of just trying to make money for this week. Because they really take the same amount of energy mentally. And really, in some cases, if you do a service-based business, I can put all this effort into putting out a $50 product or in putting out a 5-figure service. Which one is it going to be?
Right.
And so with my partner, then we started creating that. And if it weren't for him, I'd literally be like, okay, gotta get some shoes for these twins. Instead of thinking, hey, let's make $500,000. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know what? Let's create a product that'll scale. Let's do that.
So I'm always curious about service-based business. How do your customers pay you?
How do they pay?
How do they pay you?
With credit card? Or, yeah.
Is it a deposit up front and on terms
it depends. So it depends on what the service is. It depends on how much it is. For like consulting, so we are a branding and web consultancy. Strategy comes first and then design second, okay?
Major key, right?
Yeah,
there.
major key, okay? So we start with the consulting, whether it's one-on-one, our course that we have for entrepreneurs, our branding workshops, we start with that. And so that in particular you pay up front, but like, let's say it's a creative project where it's going to take months.
Yes.
Then, you divide it into percentages. You could do 50 up front, 50 at the end, or 25 up front, or whatever. And so, but when you do that, you got to make sure your contract is airtight. Okay. So you can get your monies. And yeah, but that's how you do that. And if you're a service-based business, there's a way that you can use. You really have to refine your systems and your workflows so that now, for me to be a creative, for me to even come here tonight and do this speaking engagement means that I can't be answering emails all day. It means that I cannot be writing proposals all day and invoices. There's a system that we put in place to do all that stuff. So, and it makes sure that everybody sees everything, nothing falls through the cracks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Similar to the podcast, we just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And so if you want to hear more, the story is more expansive on the Grindset podcast on the KUDZUKIAN app. But where can we find more information about you and Cheers Creative?
Okay. So if you want to go to the agency website, you go to www.cheerscreative.com, and we're at everything at Cheers Creative. You go to my personal website, DenaJamesMwangi.com, MWANGI, and I'm everywhere at Dena James Mwangi.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dena.
Next up, we have attorney Carlee McCullough, and the topic of this section will be law of attraction. Oh, there we go.
All right. She looking very corporate. Welcome. How are you this evening?
How are you guys?
We're great.
Anyone? Hello. How is everybody? Awesome.
How are you doing?
Excellent.
Awesome.
How about
We're
you?
so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Carlee, you wear a lot of different hats.
Yes.
We would love if you just share with the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. I am Carlee McCullough, and I'm a native Memphian. I went to Howard University and also Loyola.
Shout out to Howard.
Yeah, Howard and Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, California. So I practice law here. We are a boutique civil firm, so we do everything from personal injury to bankruptcy, wills, trust, nonprofit, entertainment, real estate, labor and employment, Social Security, disability. So there's a team of 13 of us all together.
Wow.
Yeah, we're pretty big, 13 of us, but 4 lawyers. We have office here in Memphis, and we have one in Nashville as well. Christian West runs our Nashville office. I'm heavily on the entertainment and business side, business formation and business litigation. I also have another business called Mahogany Memphis.
Oh, shout out to Mahogany
Delicious
Memphis.
food if you have not been.
Yeah, so if you guys are available tomorrow, is the Memphis Chamber of Commerce is coming out to cut our ribbon for our 1-year anniversary. So we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and cocktails for you guys. We're located in Chickasaw Oaks Village Mall, right in the middle of the mall. So we are upscale Southern with a dash of Creole. Let's see. And I also serve as the chairperson of the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Board.
That's fun.
So you're working.
I don't know if that's good or not.
we're not going to touch that one here.
Yes.
So many ways we can take this.
Yeah.
But I'll take the restaurant approach if you don't mind.
And then I'll add in there if there's any questions. For 12 years, I served as the contract compliance officer for the city of Memphis, helping to promote minority and women businesses that wanted to do business with the city of Memphis. So, okay.
Do you mind if I take the restaurant approach?
Whatever approach.
So this isn't your first, Mahogany Memphis isn't your first foray into the restaurant food business.
No.
So tell us the lessons learned from the first business that you're applying to Mahogany to make it work.
Well, the first time around, we purchased a building, which was the old Justine's restaurant over at Crump and East. And it was pretty big, about 13,000 square feet. And it had 3 different buildings on the premise. So that was a pretty big building, okay, and a big business. And I was new to Memphis. I moved back from LA by way of Houston. Mayor Harrington brought me back for the Memphis position. And I wanted to start a nonprofit. But his son, the mayor at the time was Mayor Harrington, and his son said, "Oh, but I need you to solve my entertainment woes." And I was like, oh, okay. So then there went the nonprofit. And so we started a business called The Ivy, okay? And back then it was a private membership club, kind of like The Pocket.
Yes. Shout out to The Pocket.
Yeah, shout out to The Pocket, which we support as well. And so we decided that we wanted to get urban professionals together and have them have an opportunity to network and, just have a place where you relaxed. And, did not have money the first, okay? And this building was almost $500,000. All right.
Wow.
So I was like, how are we going to do this? And that's where the private membership came from. We sold shares. It was always almost like crowdfunding before crowdfunding.
Yeah, I love that.
So we sold shares for the business so that we could buy the building. And that's what we ended up doing. That was our down payment on the building.
Okay. And so that's one of the hats you wear. So I'm going to touch on another one here at Grindset. I would love to know, with becoming a lawyer and having so many different entities, I would imagine most men are able to do that. So how have you been able to be successful in such a male-dominated field, and how do you stay motivated?
Wow. I early on when I retired from the city of Memphis and I launched my own business, but I had my own business all the time. The city of Memphis gave me permission to have my own law firm as long as it did not conflict with my city of Memphis work. So my first office was at 777 South Main. And I can't remember his name, who owns that building, but it was a great building there. And they were trying to kind of make it like this entertainment conglomerate, where everybody kind of worked together and fed off of each other. But I think the biggest part is just time management, okay? It is like, man, you're wearing a lot of hats. And then when you're running a law firm and you have people that are dependent upon you, you really have people's life in your hand. And so you get serious real fast. And they get paid before you get paid if you're an entrepreneur, and if you want to maintain your staff. We don't have turnover for the most part. Our people have been with us, and we opened the doors and we started a policy. We work 4 days a week.
4 days?
You hiring?
How is that?
We get it done Monday through Thursday. Our office is closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So my staff, they have a 3-day weekend every week. Now, if the court requires us to have a trial or, work, we do that. But we get the job done. But for, just everyday normal course of business, it is Monday through Thursday.
Now, for our expected entrepreneurs and people who are currently running businesses, why is it important to get your business formation and legal paperwork done sooner rather than later? And can you share a horror story that you've seen when people didn't have it in place?
Yeah. There is the reason that you want to have a corporate structure, whether it's a corporation or an LLC, is for liability purposes, okay? You work hard, so you buy a car, you buy a house, you buy a few, nice pieces of furniture. You don't want to have someone come along and sue you to try and take everything that you've amassed, okay? So, one example, people have nonprofits a lot, and churches in particular. Well, churches, there's a rule that in order for them to be a nonprofit, they don't really have to be formal, okay? They can just designate themselves as a nonprofit, and they have that designation. Well, one church here locally baptized someone They stepped out of the baptismal pool, broke their leg.
Wow. I've never seen that.
I hope to never see it.
They hope they never saw it either.
But hope is not a good legal strategy.
But unfortunately, it occurred, okay? And it was an older gentleman, and thus, here comes litigation. So that is the prime example of why you want that corporate structure. You want to protect, because again, and I understand, it's a nonprofit. They got board of directors who now put themselves in harm's way because they've got exposure, personal liability here, okay? So, needless to say, we formed a nonprofit real quick and real fast.
Really quickly.
But they still have the exposure from that particular accident. But they do have insurance, so the insurance, will hopefully be enough to cover. But that is a horror story.
That is quite a horror story. And I want to touch on one more thing before we close out. So you talked about your role when you first moved back to Memphis, working with Mary Harrington and supporting minority-owned and women businesses. Can you talk about some of the resources that are out there? Because I don't think a lot of women know that they actually have an upper advantage with starting a company now.
Well, I think that, you've got the city of Memphis has some great programs, throughout the city. There's been...
And they're free programs.
Absolutely. The city of Memphis, and there are a number of agencies, they did what was called a disparity study. Okay, and a disparity study is the foundation for any race-based program that you have. Okay, in order to have any race-based program, you have to have a disparity study. That study breaks down the racial demographic of your town, or if you're an entity like the city of Memphis, it breaks down the racial demographic of all of the people that are trying to do business with you, that have gotten contracts with you. Okay. And it is a numerical comparison, okay? And that's how they come up with the disparity, all right? So people look at the city of Memphis and they look at the demographics and they say, well, dadgum, African Americans are the majority here, okay? That may be well and dandy, but African Americans are getting, I guess, what was that number a while ago? Less than 2% of the revenues that are generated within the city. So there's a huge disparity. And the disparity is not citywide that you're looking at when you're doing a study. You're looking at your institution in particular. So you're looking at the city of Memphis, you're looking at Shelby County government, you're looking at airport authority, et cetera, okay? And so based on the study, those institutions were found to have a disparity. And as such, they set goals on projects and they look for minorities to fill these goals, okay? And doing business with the city of Memphis or any type of governmental agency like that, I mean, you could do, people used to say, oh, yes, you say all the time, well, they're not black millionaires here. I said, the devil is a lie. Devil is a lie.
Yeah.
Because I used to calculate it. So those garbage cans that you rolled to the streets, that was $1 million contract. And I knew exactly who had it. So when they say, oh, no, I said, I know who has this contract. So, the computer industry, wiring, technology, those were excellent areas for opportunity. Cleaning services. I mean, I was on a panel at one of the churches. What's the church next door to the new Renaissance Business Center? There's a big church over there. Well, I was on a panel for the summer youth program one year. And next to me, this guy, he was like, yeah, I'm a garbage man. I take garbage out. And the kids are like, what?
Right.
I'm looking at him.
Frowning at him.
I'm looking at him crazy because I know that his garbage company grossed $24 million. So I'm looking at him like, yeah, okay. So there are great opportunities. The premier maintenance companies try and get City Hall, because that's one of those things that looks good on your brochure. But the opportunities are there. professional services, whether you're an accountant or engineer, whatever it is, that you potentially do, don't overlook the opportunities with government. And then there are loans and all sorts of, great things that are at your disposal.
And I also have to shout out Epicenter. We're right here in the
Shout out to Epicenter.
So, make sure you guys that are in here talk to them before leaving. Yeah. So Carlee, can you let us know how can we find you? Hopefully we don't need your legal help when it's too late. So we want to know on the front end, and then also Mahogany Memphis.
Yes. I'm Carlee McCullough, and my telephone number is 901-795-0050. And again, I'm old school. I use a telephone. Okay. I know everybody here is on social media. And I do Instagram. It's Justice for All without the U and the I. I'm not proficient with Facebook yet.
That's okay.
I'm not there yet. And then Mahogany, of course, 901-623-7977. We are MahoganyMemphis.com. And did I leave anything out?
What's the best thing on the menu?
Man. We are, like I said before, we're upscale Southern with a dash of Creole. So our menu, we have seafood pasta for those who like pastas. We have oxtails and grits.
Oh, my.
We have shrimp and grits. We do Cajun fried chicken, pot liquor and greens with hot water cornbread. I don't know how many of y'all understand about hot water and cornbread. But for you that are vegans, we have an excellent portobello mushroom and a vinaigrette with pine nuts. So we try to have something for everybody. So,
Attorney McCullough, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next up, we have Kayla Graff of SweetBio. And the topic is fundraising, the path to growth. So get ready for money and puns. I'm so excited about this.
The sweetest company out there.
You know me too well.
It's all the buzz, you say?
It's all the buzz. All the buzz.
Tell us your favorite fundraising story.
My favorite fundraising story?
Or just a story about raising money with venture capitalists, angel funds, and then tell us about SweetBio and then a fundraising story.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not talking about like a bake sale kind of fundraising. Like, let's talk about your company first and then the type of fundraising you do.
I get so excited talking about money.
I know, you jump right in, slow down.
There's a reason it starts with FUN. I'm just saying.
Fun. And fundraising.
Zero fun.
The puns have started.
It's already started. Well, I'll tell you quick about SweetBio.
Please.
So we are a Memphis-based medical device company. We're about 4.5 years old, and what we've done is we've bioengineered a new product that helps in wound care. And what makes us sweet is, of course, our sparkling personalities.
Of course.
But we incorporate honey into our products. And it's not just any honey, it's medical grade honey, Manuka honey to be specific. And it's been traditionally a topical, wonderful product for healing, but no one's been able to encapsulate it into a solution to help heal really tough wounds. So we started in 2015. I moved from San Francisco here because of the robust medical device industry and the emergence of Epicenter.
In Memphis.
You
moved to Memphis. That's a major killer.
Before it was in any way cool.
And you chose Memphis versus other startup incubators, right?
We did. We were fortunate. We were a young company. I had a great job in the Valley, and we had this idea. I'm fortunate to have a brother who's a biomedical engineer. That helps. And he had been working on this technology for 3 years, and we joked, let's start a company. Our first is going to fail, so let's just get it over with. And he said, okay, I have this technology. Could it be a business? And we asked a few questions, Okay, it was originally designed for dentistry. Can you use it across the body? He said, yes. I said, okay, can we patent it and use it outside the US? He said, yes. I said, okay, can we make it for less than we can sell it for? And he said, yes. I said, all right, we have high growth potential.
Ding, ding, ding.
So we applied to Y Combinator. We applied to 0 to 510. And for anyone who knows YC, it's a top accelerator in the world. They get, tens of thousands of applications. And we were fortunate to get into both here in Memphis and in the Valley. And when we looked at the landscape, Memphis made a lot more sense. I think we were the second to say no to YC, but it made a whole lot of sense for us to be here, and we're still thrilled we did it.
Now here on Grindset, here's an important question that should kickstart the fundraising.
Okay.
How much money did you start your company with?
So to leave San Francisco and relocate to Memphis, we had to pay 2.5 times our rent, I believe, which was all included about $4,000 a month. That we were putting on credit cards and using whatever cash we could get together just to get to Memphis.
Yes. Wow.
And then when we got here, we were fortunate to be part of an accelerator program, which I can talk about in more detail, but that gave us our first bit of funding. We got $50,000.
Shout out to Epicenter.
Shout out to Epicenter and the 0 to 510 program and the accelerator programs, because that gave us that first bit of validation that we had something. Mm-hmm. And it also gave us the access we needed for the future raises that we were going to go through.
So you are part of a team of 3.
We are 5.
You're 5. You've grown since the last time I've
like in many ways. In many
ways. So you're the only female?
I am. So we just hired, we brought on, right now we're working on her title, but she is our executive office manager, and it's actually my younger cousin who has deep experience in plastic surgery, an area we're interested in. So it feels wonderful to have more women in the office.
I love that. So I was going one direction, but I'll bring it back around. When did you know that you needed her in that particular role?
So when Isaac, my brother, and I started the company, we had decided, let's see what we can do until we run out of our skills and abilities, and where we started to be bad investors of the capital we were given. Okay. So if I was learning, FDA regulations on how to design labeling, that is not the best use of my investors' money for me to go through that experience. And so that's how we've, I'd say over time, identified when we have talent holes. So we hired a chief operating officer first, and he brought in manufacturing and regulatory and all sorts of product development expertise we didn't have.
I love that.
And then we hired on our head of commercialization, and he brought just market knowledge, deep knowledge in sales and commercialization that we didn't have. Mm-hmm. And so then bringing her on, we have all these opportunities and projects that we know would add value, but didn't have the capacity on the team. And it was really pulling on the, it was actually causing us to be less efficient because they were all in the back of our head.
Right.
And now we have an outlet to be able to explore them. And so that's how we realized if we just kind of slow down, bring someone on board, we all can accelerate. And we hope to feel that before we get to the point where we're at a screeching halt,
Very nice.
Can we talk about fundraising?
I'm ready.
So talk about your first pitch meeting, and then talk about your first successful pitch meeting.
There's a really big difference.
and then how much have you raised to date?
Okay, so to date we've raised $4 million.
Round of applause. That's incredible.
The statistics, as a woman, they are not in our favor. All women founding teams raised about 2.5% of all venture capital funds last year. And so it's really, women are underfunded, and the numbers for diverse women are just not reportable. Mm-hmm. And so if I look back to the first pitch meetings that I had, I remember sitting next to my brother at the table across from investors and getting asked questions that I had the domain expertise in, but were directed at him. And when I would respond, they would still respond to him.
Wow.
No good.
No good. And at that point, I'm like, oh, my ears, I didn't get a black belt for nothing. Like, I'm out. Watch out, because at that point, I felt like it was a personal attack on me.
Right.
Without recognizing that there just aren't a lot of women in this space demonstrating domain expertise, having the professionalism and the grace, but really commanding the room. And I remember thinking, this just has to change. And so thankfully, the 0 to 510 program was not one of those organizations that saw that. Our group we went through were 75% women, the company's 50% Hispanic. It was crazy.
Wow.
And so the pitch day we had at the end was one of my, I'd say, favorite moments. I remember when I had a slide that I was introducing our product and I had a transition, which you probably shouldn't do transitions in PowerPoint anymore because they're overrated. But I went like introducing the SweetBio product and I went like this and the slide split and then my product was there and I had a joke and really it was such a memorable experience. And I realized that pitching is about content times delivery and women can excel at that. You can be a domain expert, but if you can't communicate your message, your success is going to be zero. But as women, we're excellent storytellers, and that's when I started seeing more success.
I'm glad you realized that, because I've been following the WeWork debacle. They raised a tremendous amount of money purely based on force of personality. We're focused on content and value, and you have white male founders raising money off of personality. Does that work for you?
Yeah, what's interesting, I was taking some notes and some key takeaways before in preparation for this, and one of the things I realized is that great ideas don't get funded.
Wow.
They just don't. Connections and the associations that you have and the door openers, that's what gets funded. Now you need to walk through it and you need to prove that you're there, but just because you have a great idea doesn't mean that you're going to get funded. It's the, other pieces of the pie that starts unlocking fundraising, and you start studying some of these examples and it's really fascinating what happens. And we can talk about that all day.
So, we're talking about fundraising and I'm pretty sure you've gotten a lot of no's. How do you overcome a no? How do you allow yourself to overcome that and say, you know what, I got to know from this person, but I believe in my company, I believe in my product, and what motivates you to keep going?
Great question.
Okay, I have maybe 3 parts of that.
Okay.
So the first was when I didn't get over no's in the beginning.
Okay.
And it was really, really hard, and I took it very personally. And I thought, I have this great idea. I'm solving a big problem. I'm going to make you a lot of money. What part of this is unclear?
Right. Not rocket science.
I'm offended that you don't see the clarity in the situation here. You can pre-purchase your yacht. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
And I realized after many, 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 many no's that I was taking it very personally and my brother wasn't. And he was just like, Kayla, there's gonna be a yes. We'll learn from this one and we'll move on. And I'm like, no. They don't like me. They don't, and it took me watching him and how he handled the situation. I learned a lot from him in that time. And then once I got past that, I realized if I was getting all yeses, so this is kind of part 2, if I was getting all yeses, I'm probably too late to the game. I'm not innovative enough. I'm not pushing the boundaries enough. If everybody was in, then this would be already available and everyone saw the opportunity. Now, the third thing is now I have a 2-year-old son who says no to everything. And I wish I had that coaching before, because that would have been phenomenal.
Wow. So thank you. If you want to learn more about Kayla Graff and SweetBio, you can also download the KUDZUKIAN app, listen to the full episode, because it's a lot more in there. Tell us where to find more information about SweetBio and yourself.
Yeah, so SweetBio, we are at SweetBio.com and more things to come. So now that we have progressed and we've raised this $4 million, we've got FDA clearance, which is a huge milestone. We received our first patent, and big news coming on patent pretty soon. And we've actually healed our first couple of patients. So
congratulations!
So for those of you who are, waiting it out, waiting for the silver lining to actually see and meet the patients that are now walking again, that haven't been able to have a normal life for years, those are the moments that you remember and why you build your business. So more to come from SweetBio, SweetBio.com, at SweetBio Co. on all social media channels. Kayla at SweetBio.com.
And what's the minimum investment to invest in SweetBio?
Right.
Let's chat. We'll do a pitch.
The next section, we're going to do a panel of all the entrepreneurs we've had up so that you all get to ask questions that are important to you.
Grindset on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Inside 901.
Inside 901, I am your host, Lieutenant Anthony Buckner. Here on Inside 901, we will unpack the vision of Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner and the various divisions of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
We have a racial profiling policy at the Sheriff's Office. We adhere to it. We expect our officers to adhere to it.
Uniform patrol that provide police services to unincorporated Shelby County.
Inside 901.
KUDZUKIAN. Grindset on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Thank you all for a great kind of round robin of expertise and stories. And this section is all about the audience. You can ask whatever question you want of the panelists.
And I'll give you my microphone so you guys can ask the questions to each of the panelists. And you already have one in the bag. All right.
So let's get started. Who's first?
This young lady in the front has a question.
Well, I really didn't say anything, but she must have seen it in my face. I'm Allie Manning. Well, I know most of you all. I am curious, being transplants, some of you all transplants, into Memphis, what are some hurdles that you find with individuals in Memphis or businesses in Memphis?
Yeah, anybody can start.
I can start. So I've been in Memphis now 4.5 years. And in that time, got engaged, got married, baby one, working on cooking baby two. And what's been interesting is I was born and raised in Virginia, I lived in Minneapolis, I lived in San Francisco, and now in Memphis. And this has been the most accessible city I've ever lived in. And so I haven't quite struggled with getting to who I need to get to, but I can share a couple of strategies of why I think we haven't struggled as much. The first is we kind of sit in service to the city. So anytime anyone needs us on a board or a volunteer event, it really just started by going to young professional networking events that are like every night here in Memphis. I think on my brother's first night, he met Cynthia.
We met at the Marriott.
Right, on his first night moving to Memphis, and then because my brother was here, he then connected me to New Memphis, which I started in my first week. And so I feel like there's so many places to plug in that can get you connected, and I haven't quite struggled yet because Memphis is kind of like a one connection away from everyone. But it really started by just sitting in service and not expecting anything out of it. And because of that, that's actually been the majority of our angel investors who have come into our round, whether it's Richard Smith, Hilliard Cruz, these are all public on press releases, but just these large investors we've had come in have been because we've just been trying to serve, and it's turned out really well for us.
I'll definitely piggyback on that. I like what you said when you said one person away. I used to say that, I've had the great privilege of living not only in Memphis, but in DC, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, back to Memphis. So I did a complete circle. And Memphis is 1 degree of separation from anybody you need to know. Anybody, even the president. Literally, Fred Smith, president. You understand what I'm saying? So you're 1 degree of separation from anybody that you need to know. When you go to other markets, it is not that accessible. And I think that Memphians, we kind of take that for granted. We don't really use our biggest resources. People say all the time, oh, there's nothing to do in Memphis. What? Again, we hear that, but there's so much to do if you get active. I know Miss Cynthia over here has got like 12 things she does. So, just step out and, get to know the people that are around you, because I assure you, it's 1 degree of separation.
I'll speak on it a little bit. For me, it was more so like twofold, from employing to actually networking. So from the employing aspect, it was tough in regards to the mindset. So I'm the type of person, like, I'm determined. So it doesn't matter what is put in front of me, I'm going to get in front of it. And when it came to the mindset and some aspects of what I needed from an employee, it was hard and I didn't understand it. And so what I had to do was just teach and give purpose and help them understand some parts of life that they may not have been privileged to. But then when it came to the networking aspect, like that was here. And so what I recognized with those who were in that circle, and I made sure that I put myself in those circles and stayed in that circle and just kept the balance with the two.
Would you all mind saying your name anytime you respond to a question?
Yes.
We are recording this live for the podcast, for the Grindset podcast.
I'll go next. So I'm Nubian Simmons. And I think for me, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I lived in Nashville. I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Houston. Moving to Memphis and any other city, if you don't get involved, you're going to have all types of struggles. You're going to hate the city. You're going to think there's nothing to do, like other people have echoed. But I think for me, I got involved right away because I knew I didn't know anybody, and I knew I wanted everybody to know about the Pink Bakery. And so the only way to do that was to get to the top. So I researched the city and saw who was doing what, and made sure that I made my way into those circles, hoping they would let me in. And luckily here in Memphis, it's like an open door. Like you said, if you have something of value, and people can see that, I mean, it's like they lay the red carpet out for you, and I'm like, really? Like, okay, this is different from Nashville, or this is different from, the other places I've lived in. So I haven't really had a lot of hurdles in regards to being accepted. A few things that have been interesting for me to try to adjust to, though, has been some of the comments of me being a Black woman doing what I'm doing. Here's a for instance. So we make baking mixes, and we were talking about my packaging and if I should put my face on it. And they said, so I got two different answers. One answer was, yes, oh my God, you're so beautiful, right? You're non-threatening. And I said, ooh, okay. And then the other one was like, no, because you're Black. And I'm like, how are you supposed to receive that? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if I'm receiving that because I'm in Memphis, or I don't know if I'm receiving that just because, this is true. You know what I mean? So those have been things that have been tough to kind of deal with, is how to grow and move forward, still wanting to maintain who you are and be yourself, but know that you do live in this world. You know what I mean? And how do you navigate through that? So.
Well, I just piggyback on what you're saying and say that Famous Amos and Aunt Jemima sell a whole lot of product. So, and I don't know if those companies are even African American owned, but their images move product. So don't hesitate to put your beautiful face on that box.
And that was one of the best things that I could do for my company, was put my face on the banner. So, and from there I took off, to be honest.
Yes. Okay, so I'm Dena James Mwangi, and I definitely have a story about that. So the thing is, I wanted you all to go first because I'm somebody who was born and raised here, and I've always admired how people come from other parts of the country, come here, and it's like take off 2-3 years, and I'm somebody, I graduated from Wooddale High School, went to University of Memphis, and my story is a little interesting. The way I built my business, I built it on the internet. I didn't really go networking at different events and different things like that. So what would happen was people knew me in Scotland and in the UK, but didn't know me here. So I kind of built it kind of backwards. And I went through the thing that you were talking about, and because also I came out of design school, and they said, and I would, you want to put more, since we're talking real, you want to put more white faces in your portfolio. You want to put more white work in your portfolio. You might want to wear your hair straight and all these other things. And for a while, I took that advice, and it became too painful to keep taking that advice. And so what happened was I was doing work, and I was blogging, and because I reached outward first, I ended up getting referenced in Forbes, and then stuff just started coming from all over the place. And people would reach out to me to cheers. Hello, Dena. We would like to. I'm like, oh, y'all already knew who I was. Okay. But here I am trying to not show myself. And so now we teach that nobody wants to do business with a shampoo or soda or a shoe. They want to do a business with the person behind those things. Because I can go get shampoo down the street. What is going to make me jump over hundreds of millions of options in this day and age to you? It's going to be my face. It's going to be my story, because now you're not buying the shampoo. You're buying yourself because you see me. So yes,
it's a
that
major
was one
key.
of the best things I could have done. And then once I came, I realized people in Memphis was like, "Oh, you been here? I should have been known about you. I should have known. Oh, let's do this and let's talk." And it was nothing to be afraid of.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Ayana Campbell. I have a question for all of you, which is, how did you get past your fear to build your business and do it anyway?
This is Dana James Mwangi speaking.
You could be a reporter.
So I'm going to be honest. So I started. So I hate to say it. The truth is, I needed to be pushed. Before I had children, I was just doing just enough to get by, and it looked pretty darn good. Making B's, getting out of school, getting a job, and all this other stuff. But then when I started having children, I wanted more for them. And it's just the honest to God truth. The children just made me I had to, even though I'm scared, and then realizing that I could be passing down fear to my children. If they see I'm scared to jump, they're not going to jump. You know what I mean? So you can't beat me. I'm sorry. And it's not because I think I'm I have to. And I just got to see, even outside of that, I just wanted to see what was out there. And the more leaps I take, the more scared I am. And if you have to go to therapy, go to therapy. Because, like I said, like you gotta really engage in self-care. The bigger risks you take, because the circle gonna get smaller, and you're gonna be living a life that nobody else is living. And you're gonna always be scared.
Look at the heads nodding.
Yeah. And you have to use that. First of all, y'all know Beyonce. Beyonce is shaking and praying before a performance. And this woman has hundreds of awards. Yeah. So she's scared in her boots. And she's only shaking and stuff because she cares. You're fearful because you want it to be right for the people. You care. That's really what it is. And that's never going to stop as long as you're trying to push the envelope. When you stop getting scared, you're probably repeating something you done already did.
I agree. This is Kayla Graff, SweetBio, reporting in. I have fear every day. Every single day, I have fear. I have employees that have families. I've got, strategies that I had to make decisions on that I know are on me if they don't play out. I have fear literally every single day. But what's interesting is that entrepreneurs really aren't fearless. They do it in spite of. And what's interesting, and I know there's a great quote on that, and I wish I could quote the person, but what's interesting, I had a realization as, I worked at Target and there was all these layoffs, and I realized I could fail doing what I don't want to do. So why don't I just try doing what I want to do? Because the chances are probably the same. So, when you live in this fear, I think it's very healthy because you are challenging and you're pushing, but it's also, in a moment where you can give yourself grace and say, okay, I'm going to accept this, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to let it fuel me, and I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to do it on this path. I'm going to be educated. I'm going to be the most knowledgeable person in the room on what I do and de-risk it in any way possible. But being fearful, I think, is a great thing. Just not letting it overcome you and stopping you, because knowing you can do it. If you really looked at your chances and we said, what if I was successful instead of what if I fail? What could we do? And I think Steve Case may have said that when he came here.
Carlee McCullough, Mahogany, and McCullough Law. I tell you what, my viewpoint is a little different in the sense that when I was in law school in LA, I worked for a big firm. It was called Niemer, Fields & Younger. And I didn't see any jobs that I wanted. I worked with the partners, worked with folks on my level, worked with mid-level. I didn't see anybody's job that I wanted to do. Nothing was just jumping out at me like, ooh, that's where I want to be. When I came to Memphis and I had the opportunity to work in the contract compliance office, and we had about 400 companies on this list, and I started to see the contracts that they were getting, I was motivated. I was motivated. I was like, I can't let you have all the fun. And so that's really what inspired me and encouraged me to move my fears aside to say, I can do this.
There's a lot of money out here.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Granger with the Chiro Place. For me, this question has always been very hard for me because I always say I don't have responsibilities. Like, I don't have kids. I'm just, like, living life in some essence. But my main thing was finding my purpose. When you have a purpose, fear is going to be there. It's going to happen. But your purpose is ultimately what you go back to in the wee hours of the night when you can't sleep. And when your mind is racing, or when you're tired and you have to go to this event or do this, that, or another, you have to have that something that pushes you. And my purpose was me helping others that look just like me have a way that I know the way wouldn't be there because it wasn't there for me. So I took my experience and I made that into something to push me, because otherwise I really didn't know why was I doing what I was doing. I love my community. I do want to help people, but at the same time, my biggest drive was helping doctors like myself that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity. So I always tell people, find your purpose and your why, and that's what's going to eliminate the fear in some essence, because it's going to be there.
Nubian Simmons. So I think I had to learn how to really understand what that fear was, right? Because like everybody said, it's there every day, right? And what I find is if I am learning something new or pushing myself to go further than I've gone in the past, I really feel it, right? But what I understand what that feeling means is that I am about to grow into something else, right? And so am I afraid of what I'm about to be? Like, because I've never been there before. I know what it feels like to be back here today, but tomorrow, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, what's that gonna be like, right? And so you get to this place where you find like, you know, any type of motivational speaker or, you know, books or just anything that you can hold on to help push you into tomorrow. Because you can make it, you know, like, I'll be a better person tomorrow because of what I'm going to experience. And I'm glad I feel that fear because, again, I know I'm about to grow. So every time I feel that, I try to embrace it because, again, I'm going to be somebody new and I'm going to be better than who I was before. And the more that I learn, the more that fear kind of ceases, you know, like the more that I keep pushing myself to be a better baker or to learn more about business, or now I'm learning about land and, you know, like the federal government, like just all these things. If you told me I would be doing all of this, I would have been like, you're not talking about me, you know what I mean? So the more that I get out of my own way, the more that fear becomes something that I, in a kind of weird way, look forward to, you know, and learn to embrace it.
Yeah, and this is Kayla Graff again. Now with the weather. Right. It's hot out, especially when you're pregnant. You know, I think to your point, learning and practicing on getting over it quicker and quicker every time. And I think one way that I've been doing that lately, which took me years to do, is to call my tribe and women that have been there. And I will never forget this moment that just happened a couple of weeks ago. I was going to a conference. I knew I was going to be the only female presenter in a room with, you know, very senior, all white men. I knew that I was going to get a lot of feedback. I knew that it was going to be, oh, great job, so cute, you have a company, my God. You know, and I'm just like, I called a friend on the way in who's in the energy business, and she, you know, she's been through a lot of these things, and I told her, I said, today I feel inadequate. Like today, I feel inadequate. I feel like someone can do my job better than me. I feel like if one of these guys was at the helm of the company, that they could do it. And it took me like literally 60 seconds to realize that if anyone that I like felt responsible for, which is like the entire young Hispanic community of women, heard me say that, they would be appalled. And so to get it out that quickly, that feeling of like, I feel inadequate and this is not for me, and you know, it's like, all right, that's ridiculous because I can do it way better than them and I'm confident of that. And so how you can, you know, kind of practice getting over it, and sometimes it, you know, for me to admit that was a really big step for me personally, because I always, you know, I want to be ready and on. And so practicing getting over the fear quicker every single time, I feel like is something I'm actively working on.
All right. So we have time for one more question.
Because we like to talk.
Okay, we got 3 hands going up. How about this? How about they each ask the question, and then you ladies in rapid fire answer all 3. Let's try it out. So all 3 of you come to the mic so we can get the questions together. There we go.
Okay, my name is Cam Caldwell, everybody. I'm an entrepreneur too as well. So you ladies are very successful. So the question that I want to ask you guys was, what's the best book you have read this year and why?
All right, pass the mic.
My name is Esso Tosin. That's my business partner. And I wanted to know, what is the most rewarding thing about being an entrepreneur for you in your experience?
We got it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have the most important one. I'm Erica Plavier Hemphill, founder of MedHall, and as a fellow entrepreneur, I want to know, how do you all manage work-life balance? You all are obviously very successful, have phenomenal businesses. You know, you've gotten whatever levels of education or gotten your business to a certain place, but how do you take care of yourself to make sure you're in the proper mind state to actually run a business and just enjoying life?
And then one more, a 4th question.
Hello, I'm Jelana Faulkner, and my question is, so many people say that you can't have it all, or some people say you can have it all, but just not at the same time. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so we're going to read back the questions. Each of you pick 2 out of the 4 questions. How does that sound? Okay. All right, here we go, partner, go.
So the 4 questions are best book, most rewarding or awarding thing about being an entrepreneur, work-life balance, and can you have it all?
Can I go first?
Yes. And who are you?
So I can try to remember. Nubian Simmons. Most rewarding is, again, my market are people who generally don't have, they're not able to participate in celebratory moments with a dessert or a treat. And the most rewarding thing for me is getting emails of pictures of a baby at their first birthday with the face in the cake and the frosting all over it, knowing that that family will always have that memory to look back on in 5 years or 20 years, and that child will never know what it feels like to not have had a birthday cake. Like, that just gets me. And then work-life balance, I struggle very, very hard. I have gotten better, though, since like our last podcast. I now run 2 times a week, and I do yoga, so that's huge for me. So, but I struggle with it. So.
I can go next and then pass the questions down.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. So I'll take work-life balance and can you have it all as the crazy pregnant lady that's raising money in a high-growth startup. Second go-round. I firmly believe that work-life integration is achievable. I live in a world that is very, fast-paced and is male-dominated, like many of us are, and I moved from San Francisco to Memphis also because of the quality of life that I could have here, that I could get married and have a family and run a business, and I made it a priority to sleep.
Amen.
With sleep, you can achieve anything. And let me tell you something, my productivity and my output when I don't sleep is horrific. So for me, making it a priority to sleep, and then from the balance standpoint or integration standpoint, I've had to give myself grace looking every single day at, did I spend enough time with my kid, my husband, my mom, and my business, and then start looking at a week. How did I do this week? Or how did I do this month? Or forget it, how did I do this quarter? And give myself some freaking grace that, you know what, SweetBio might need more of my time this week, but next week I maybe take a day off when it's light and spend time with my son all day. And so I think that if we give ourselves some grace, that we're going to fill our time with no matter what, right? We all are very busy. So if you can just look out on the horizon and say, how do I balance it over a longer period of time? I think it's possible for you to have it all and mentally be able to just start letting some of this go. I'm not amazing at it. Asked my husband last night. I was like, I failed. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, but tomorrow I'm going to be fine, And so it's looking out on the horizon for me is something I'm actively practicing, and I think it is achievable, and I don't think we should all live in this constant work-life balance, like horror zone that we can't ever be there. I think we need to say, I am there and I'm going to get better at it. And these are the things I'm going to take, and I need to work out and I need to do this. And then I'm going to be a better person for it. And I'll be able to, achieve my goals because of it. So,
Carlee McCullough, work-life balance, and I'm going to combine work-life balance and can you have it all? Work-life balance, I tell you, yes, but as the product of 2 divorces, I don't know. Oh, it's a yeah, girl. I tell you, the one thing that I did early on with my son, I found this thing called Kumon, okay? And I don't know how many of you all know what Kumon is, but it is a Japanese form of studying that they get introduced to it as early as 4, really. And my son, when he went to IC, and he's at Lausanne now, and he was always a smart kid, but he didn't test so well. So they had this thing at IC, and it was called, it was kind of like Clue in the Shelby County school system. It was like Clue. But he wasn't in that group because he didn't test well. So he was like, Mommy, but why am I not in that group? So I talked to the mothers in the other group, and they said, well, our kids are in Kumon. And I was like, what the hell is Kumon? So I researched it, and it's an independent form of learning. They're teaching the kids to do it independently, okay? It's 30 minutes of study in reading and math, those 2 subjects, only those 2 subjects, reading and math. Independent, okay? So that saved me tremendously in that, okay, I don't have to help with homework. He's an independent self-starter, okay? Took the ACT, he's got 32, 4.3. So I'm extremely happy. He's 16 years old. Find y'all some Kumon.
I need Kumon.
I'm going to be looking at it tonight.
Shout out to Kumon. I was looking into that.
I'm serious. I mean, because it was independent study. I've never had to really help him with homework because it was in his mindset that he had to do it himself. Okay, he finds his own programs for the summer, and he's been to George Washington University, he's been to UCLA. So, I mean, he wants to go do a month at USC. So, I mean, he is totally independent, all right? And so I encourage that for those of us who are, busy moms, trying to pull it together, and especially if we're busy single moms, okay? That's even more so extra for us to do. But can you have it? Yes, you can have it. I see it in my practice. I don't necessarily have it in my life, but I'm working towards it, even if I have to have 5 marriages until I get there, okay?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Entrepreneur,
don't give up. Okay, this is Dena James Mwangi speaking. I'm going to do work-life balance, and I'm going to do best book. With work-life balance, I don't know if you all listen to motivational, transformational speaker Lisa Nichols. I think we need to do away with the word balance and think about work-life harmony.
Harmony.
And,
I like that.
And so what does that mean? Like, everybody has different schedules and things they have to do. You have obligations, you have loved ones. And so the first thing is what is your picture of success? When I started Cheers, my goal was I want to be able to take my son to the park at 10:30 a.m. on a random Tuesday. That's what I want to be able to do. Okay, I'm sorry. And now I'm doing that with 3 children. And what that has forced me to do is work smarter. And so in my particular instance, doing like logo design, web design, and all these other things, I realized, those things are great and they are valuable, but what's even more valuable is educating clients on branding and things like that. And then I was like, wait a minute, there's an opportunity here to create a scalable service. Okay, so I'm impacting more people, spending less time doing it, making more money doing it. And so now we can take the kids to the park. We can go out of town. We can go do, stuff. And so I think just being really clear about what your work-life harmony ratio is, and just being okay with that, and realizing that, okay, you might not be able to raise your kids the way mama raised you. Because mama wasn't trying to start a business, per se. Mama, you know, y'all, that was dinner on the table at 5 because they was able to be that. And you might not be able to do that, but hey, you know, you're doing something that's just as important, like building a legacy for your family or whatever it is. So just being okay with what your life path is and what your rhythm is, and just creating that for yourself, and then just finding ways to work smarter, and also charge like you got some damn sense. And I'm just gonna be honest, because what I find is when you undercharge, now you gotta deal with 10 people. You charge $500, those people got $5,000 worth of questions. But you know, when you work on a 5 or 6 figure project with somebody who trusts you, okay, that's a different experience. So working, you know, finding worthwhile projects, all that plays into getting the work-life harmony. But you're not gonna have work-life balance if you're cheap, and you're not making people trust you just because you have cheap prices. So all of that goes into that. With the what? the best book, I got 2. One of you, I forgot who asked that. The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding by Al Rise and Laura Rise. They wrote that book in 2002. Now I try my best to read the most current books possible, but it's amazing to me how that book was written in 2002 and I can still see how those principles are applied today. And it goes over the power of, you know, when to create a second brand, when to, you know, it talks about colors and brand colors. It talks about logos. It talks about naming, but not from branding your stuff from a personal preference. It gets you out of branding yourself around your favorite color. It gets you to thinking strategically. How do you dominate over time? That book has helped us tremendously transform our business and our clients. The second one is This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Okay? That book talks about marketing in a way that most people are not talking about marketing now. There's 2 ways to market yourself. Brand marketing, like doing speaking engagements, doing billboards, doing things like that. And those things are great to do, but it's hard to measure, okay? Then you have direct marketing, the Facebook ads, the paid YouTube ads. That stuff is easy, well, it's measurable, but everybody's doing it. So how do you rise above the noise? So he talks about all of that, and it really could have been a course. It's amazing how much information is packed in that, and it just makes you want to, even talks about getting pressed by being press worthy. Everybody trying to, you know, get this and that, shows you how to be stand out-ish. So, but you really want those 2 books. I think that's it. Okay.
All right, Dr. Granger with the Chiro Place again. I'll start with the best book. I love Grant Cardone just because he does not care what he say and how he move, and he's just like, go for it. Mm-hmm. And I need that in my life because I come from a small town where the mindset sometimes can be very stagnating and you just get stuck there. Mm-hmm. So Be Obsessed or Be Average was the book for me. And as it comes to work-life balance and can you have it all, I want to combine the 2 because I always say there's levels to everything. And for me, I have no work-life balance, and I'm okay with that right now because I don't have anything going on right now. So with that being said, my goal is to grind really, really hard so I can build that foundation for the next level and plan and prepare and strategically move so that my next level can be set up in a way where I can go to the park on a Tuesday or do whatever it is that I want to do. But right now, my goal is to build the foundation for my team and then continue to build the foundation for my company where it doesn't matter what I do day to day, and I'm still pouring into people and I'm still building. So when it comes to work-life balance, I was on a panel not too long ago that talked about the superwoman syndrome that we oftenly grow up to in southern states, so to say. And I know for myself, I oftenly looked at my mom, and that was who I modeled myself behind, because she got up and she did this and that, and I'm like, darn, I have to do all of that, and I can't be tired. So I would walk into the office every day and tell my team, like, I'm good, and really I was tired. It's a matter of just being honest with who you are and where you are, and doing what you can do and the very best you can do in that moment, and always pushing to move forward. That's how you bring the very best out. And know your limits, know your levels, know your limits, and continue to push forward.
Thank you all for such great advice, information, and responses. I want to add my book. Annually, I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a great sales book. It's a great book on relation. It's a great book on personal development, and I read it all the time. Make sure you all subscribe and rate to the Grindset podcast, and tell your friends to check it out and to subscribe, because we've interviewed all of you all on the podcast, and it's just so much more to these wonderful entrepreneurs that we just couldn't cover today.
And I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening. Can we get a round of applause for this amazing advice? All right, standing ovation. And we're going to do a toast. So Brack and I have been doing this Grindset crazy thing for a year now. So I'm the crazy entrepreneur. He's the one that wants to know all about the money, all about the finances. So we just want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you to KUDZUKIAN Network, Larry, and the team. Thank you to Epicenter for making this possible, Leslie Smith and team. And we just want to thank you guys.
Hi, I'm Larry Robinson. I'm the CEO and founder of KUDZUKIAN. And thank you. This has been a humbling experience for us. We've started with no hosts, no anything. We started with an idea. And I want to thank these two ladies to my left in particular, Leslie and Jessica, for having trust and belief in this black-owned business with a black team. It's focused on women of color and helping them become more focused as far as and more equipped to be fantastic entrepreneurs. And so this toast, as much as it is for Grindset and these two individuals, Brack and Cynthia, it is really a toast to Epicenter and these two ladies for having trust and belief in us to deliver a product and to do a good job and just giving us a chance. You know, just an absolute chance. So with that, I want to raise this cup of bubbly and say thank you. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for your support. And please continue to keep us in your prayers and well wishes that we can deliver another year of solid content that enriches the people of Memphis and helps us to become, the people of the world, because there's no boundaries on podcasts. It just lets us know that Memphis is just way ahead of the game and we doing it big. So with that, here. Rate and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Rate and subscribe to the podcast. Go to the KUDZUKIAN app. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the different platforms. Everywhere you can. Just don't go to one platform. Go to Apple. Go to Spotify. Then go to any of them. TuneIn app. All of them, and rate and subscribe the app and share it with your friends, every last one of your friends. Good. And make them do the same thing. So thank you very much.
Yes, and one more thing. Tomorrow,
hopefully we get to have some of y'all on the podcast in the future.
Yeah. Tomorrow, if you all are available, we have the Chamber of Commerce coming to do a ribbon cutting at our restaurant at Mahogany from 3:30 to, I think they're going to cut at 4. So we will have some light hors d'oeuvres and cocktails there. So please join us at Mahogany. We're maybe 3092 Poplar Avenue, Suite 11.
Thank y'all. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming out.
Grindset, Executive producer, Epicenter. Grindset is directed, produced, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.